All right, so UCLA lost Chip Kelly, headed to Ohio State. That came down on Friday to take the offensive coordinator's job for somebody that worked for him at one point in Ryan Day. So what does UCLA do? They turn this thing around quickly. DeShaun Foster, who was an All-American running back at UCLA and a part of a lot of their history when it comes to rushing yards and touchdowns, had a 7-year NFL career, has been on the staff of UCLA pretty much every year since he retired from football. 1 year on Cliff Kingsbury's staff as a running backs coach at Tech in 2016. He, today, named the head coach at UCLA. From all indications in the meeting when it was announced, the players were excited. The environment was loud and boisterous. There are some that are saying, wait a minute, is he ready for this? I don't know, but UCLA has DeShaun Foster as their head coach.
Well, first of all, ready, you'll never know until you try. Second, it's February 12th. Like, what are you going to do? Like, outside of going to hire somebody who is
a
retread, like, say, go hire David Shaw. Like, all right, that's not really that's a good hire. I mean, it would have made sense to bring in David Shaw, but you also don't have a lot of time to sit there and vet 7 candidates like you would if you fired Chip Kelly on November 15th, like A&M did with Jimbo Fisher. You don't have time to do that because right now you're a month away from spring football. I think it's the smoothest transition possible. And look, what's going to change? Like, if they're not good, if DeShaun Foster's not ready, then they'll make another head coaching change. But the timing of this just makes it to where who's the best guy you think you have for the job? If the players want DeShaun Foster, if you want DeShaun Foster, if you think he's going to be good, then go ahead and do it.
Yeah, the Chip Kelly thing was just bizarre, really, in the end when you think about leaving a Power 2 coaching job for a Power 2 OC job in the same conference. That's just wild, and there was just too much noise there with old Chip. After a while, why is it still so loud? It's constantly loud. Why is there always noise coming out of Westwood about Chip Kelly and this job? And then you ultimately see him make the decision that he made. So, yeah, put UCLA in quite the pickle. The Ohio State situation is going to be fascinating. I mean, the fact that was rumored to possibly go to Bill O'Brien, but then he ends up with the head coaching gig there at Boston College. So that was very interesting to come out in the late last week as well, is that old B.O.B. will be taking over the Eagles out there in the ACC. So that's something of interest. But, yeah, the Chip Kelly thing, I was not upset about not being on at times last week, but that was one of those like, oh, that's a pretty hot story right there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's that move by UCLA to go and replace him quickly. I mean, you only, like you guys said, have so many options, I think, at your disposal, especially given that it's nearly mid-February at this point, or practically is mid-February at this point. So I don't know. I won't pretend to know whether this is a great hire or not. He certainly has a lot of experience specifically at UCLA. He's been in the college coaching game for a decade now. I don't know all the particulars of what those who will break it down of whether it's great or not will lay out there, but I certainly can't sit there and say it's a bad hire. Like anybody else, need to see a lot more. It's not a splash hire. We can all agree on that, but it is a guy who's got an NFL background and, again, has been around the program for quite a while now. So if the players like it, that's a nice step forward. Doesn't mean they're going to win as a result of that, but it sure beats the players not liking your choice. So that is a nice start, but yeah, let's just see what happens. That's a weird program. It really is. We talk about all these programs moving around, and we just throw UCLA in there. And quite frankly, if they weren't in Los Angeles, I don't know if we'd ever talk about UCLA football. I mean, really, Chip Kelly's had some moments there, but it's kind of few and far between when they really jump out at the forefront of your mind when you're talking college sports. And now they're making this big move to the Big Ten. Having a coaching change all at the same time. I say all that to say I just wonder kind of where they're going to fall in this whole thing moving forward. Is it going to be similar to their time in the Pac where every few years they jump up and have a good season, or have a string together and then kind of fade and bounce back and forth, or is he a star in the making we have no idea about? I don't know, but yeah, definitely wasn't expecting Chip Kelly to go take an OC job in college. That's the one thing I could say I was not expecting.
You wonder if it's the move that also at least helps enhance what they have on staff, where there's not yet another churning of that, and also maybe even on the roster. There was somebody on Twitter that mentioned that DeShaun Foster was promoted. Actually, he was not. What's crazy, he'd been a part of the UCLA staff every year since 13, other than the 1 year at Tech. He had just, in the last week, taken the job with the Raiders with Antonio Pierce. So he was gone. And then UCLA did not give up on that, so he now is the head coach of his alma mater. Quote from the meeting, from one of the people in the meeting, one of the most ecstatic environments I've been a part of. And that was when they announced that DeShaun Foster was going to be the head coach with UCLA.
Yeah, congrats to him, and let's see what it looks like. I mean, I really don't know what to expect with DeShaun Foster at the helm, but Chip Kelly had some good moments, some not so good moments there in LA, and so yeah, congrats to DeShaun Foster on the gig, and get ready for Big Ten ball and whatever that's all going to look like next year when we have all of the conferences making these sweeping changes. So, interested to see where UCLA kind of falls early on in this whole ordeal with Oregon, Washington, USC, and all of those now new Big Ten teams to contend with as well.
Willie Fritz.